Good morning. What an intro and some good music to get us going here, right? As I just said, I'm Kelly Covato, and I'm the GM of the travel business for the Trade Desk. And I'm super excited to be here with my esteemed clients from Marriott and MGM. Thank you guys for joining me. Why don't we start with some quick introductions?
Thank you for having us. I'm Monique Perlmutter. I lead sales and partnerships over at Riott Media, which is the media network for Marriott hotel properties.
Hello, it's good to see you again. Chris Norton, Marriott International. I run our marketing capabilities and lead our new foray into the media network space, Riott Media.
Schoen, VP of Integrated Media for MGM Resorts, oversee paid media, creative services, and owned content for some lovely properties on the Strip, including Aria, we're sitting in now.
Thanks for having us, Derek. So you are two iconic brands, and especially as we sit out here in beautiful Aria, you certainly are part of the MGM Resorts portfolio. But you're not just iconic brands, you're also partners. So in late 2023, MGM and Marriott announced your partnership, and there's a lot of benefit both for the business and your customer base. So tell us a little bit about why you decided to join forces and what that means for both of your businesses and your customers.
Well, I think it was a logical hookup. We had an existing partnership at the Cosmopolitan next door. And, when we think about the world of Marriott Bonvoy members, 250 million strong, and how we really have pivoted our business towards helping them travel for the experiences and the passions that they care about. Well, there's a lot of passions here in Las Vegas and the other places MGM exists. So we thought it was a great opportunity to join our efforts together to create more valuable earning and redemption opportunities, but really to concentrate on those high-end luxury travelers that want to experience the very best in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I think, the whole reason we're up here talking is around loyalty, and Marriott obviously has an incredible base of loyalty throughout all of their properties. And, MGM Resorts, we own 40% of the room inventory on the Las Vegas Strip, including Cosmopolitan, Aria, Bellagio, et cetera, let alone our regional properties in DC, Detroit, New York, Biloxi, Mississippi, shout out. But it was natural kind of to be able to bring that loyalty base together, which is a key value proposition, I think, for all travelers nowadays with the inventory that we have. And it's been a great relationship so far.
I'm enjoying it as a Bonvoy and MGM loyalist, so thank you. So I think we can all admit we're living in a pretty fragmented digital ecosystem. I know in our house we have multiple devices, multiple TV screens. We're consuming all sorts of different kinds of media out of home, audio, CTV. And I think it's only becoming harder as a marketer to really reach the right customer at the right time, and especially so in the luxury space. So what are some of the things that you're doing to really ensure that you're having that connected experience for the customer and you're speaking to them with relevance? Monique, maybe we can start with you.
I mean, your example is really relevant. As I think back to before this trip, I think it was Sunday night, I found myself on the sofa watching a Bravo show on the TV, scrolling Instagram on my phone, and then catching up on some work emails on my computer. So I am part of the problem. But I think one of the benefits of commerce media, retail media, this whole sector is all of our rich first-party data that really helps us understand how to deliver the right message to the right customer in the right moment based on their mindset as they're engaging with different content. And so we're using our loyalty data through the Marriott Bonvoy program to identify those high intent, high guest value individuals, and then make sure that we're delivering them the right message. So that way they feel recognized with a personalized message, and less so that they're being marketed to. And, partners like Trade Desk really help us activate because we can reach these individuals across a number of channels and monitor frequency, make sure we're getting the right messages in the right places, sequentially, et cetera.
Derek?
Sure. I think it's really two parts for us. Is one, if you're looking really granular, like an identity graph, and making sure you're working with partners that can find that consumer, or at least that base of consumers across multiple platforms and mediums, et cetera. Obviously work with Trade Desk to do that on our side, which has been great. But I think it's also the other side of that coin, which is you're never going to be able to target those individuals 100% of the time. So making sure that you're going after contextually relevant articles, content, places where you can embed your media that speaks to that guest in places that they are naturally drawn towards as well.
That's great. So obviously, MGM owns a majority of the Strip, and Marriott Bonvoy is one of the largest loyalty ecosystems in the world. Congratulations to both of you. But I think with that, you obviously have a ton of information about your guest and the consumer and what they're looking for from your brand. How are you thinking about taking those insights and making sure their experience with your brand or your company is happening in a connected way, both before they arrive and then once they walk through the doors and then when they're back home? And same question on the Riott side, how is that translating for some of the clients you're working with your data?
Yeah, it's one of the reasons I'm on my second stint at Marriott, and I was really asked to come back to help lead an effort in putting data at the center of how we think about not just marketing but the customer experience, and really connecting what so many of the companies that I'm sure are here today have done in marketing, but really think about how to pull that into the physical experience, into the physical space of the room. And we're incredibly blessed to have direct relationships with our customers that allow us to know what they care about, the passions that they pursue. And this focus on passions has been a real pivot for Marriott Bonvoy over the last several years, in that we wanted to really escape the notion of transactional loyalty, which many loyalty programs fall into helping people, helping them connect to the real reasons they travel, the passions, the people, the places that they care about. And to do that, it started with a data exercise, right? Our ability to understand those things, to gain their trust, that we could ask them, observe it, and use it in when they arrive in a hotel, whether it's connecting them to running maps that they can safely traverse around the space, or if it's connecting to some musical experiences that may be happening in that town that we know are relevant to you. And this rich data set then became the foundational element of how we're looking for brand collaborators. We don't call them advertisers really, for Riott Media, and that's the first party data of that I just spoke of really fuels how we're going to market and bringing relevant brand messaging along with the Marriott and the Marriott Bonvoy brand to customers together in the room, on our digital assets, and through partnerships like we have with the Trade Desk.
Talk about an example. So we've done this with a whole host of partners, not just in the travel space. So you might first think, oh, travel. But we've worked with a number of partners in other verticals. One of them recently on a youth sports campaign. So Gatorade came to us and they wanted to partner to reach youth sports travelers. So many of you here may have kids on the youth sports circuit. It is no joke. It is tournament to tournament on the weekend.
Intense. It's ridiculous.
So intense. It's a second job. And I am in this segment, but so are a lot of our travelers, and it's a really high value audience. They're very engaged. They do spend time in that room and on that property. And so we connected Gatorade with those youth sports travelers on site as well as off site through our Trade Desk partnership. So that way we could continue the messaging during and after their trips. And it worked. This full funnel strategy worked. We saw an 8.5% increase in consideration intent. And we actually saw a 7% increase in sales for the properties that carried the Gatorade product, which was an incredible secondary KPI. So we know that it works, this full funnel approach, and we're starting to investigate how we can scale this outside of travel, CPG, and how do we apply this for every advertiser.
I love that story, and we were honored to be a part of it. I think it's really interesting that your data is also being used, outside the endemic walls with other really, interesting categories that can leverage these high value audiences as well. And Derek, I know you guys are doing some interesting things both digitally and on property to kind of connect the guest experience. What about on your side?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking heavily about the luxury audience here, and personalization is no longer a surprise and delight. It's the expectation. Hopefully everybody's had some lovely discussions, engagements, surprise and delight moments, personalizations with employees across our properties. Because at the end of the day, if I can serve you a personalized ad, great. That's kind of fun and kitschy and may make you look at it. If I can serve you a personalized experience on property, that's a memory, and that's what truly creates a loyalty and loyalists. So first and foremost, we're looking at more and more ways to be able to serve to our frontline employees as much as we can about the person that's standing in front of them. Whether that's a concierge that understands you've been to a steakhouse a dozen times and you love that one and really want to get into that one, or our front desk that understands your room requirements ahead of time and even greeting you at the curb, those types of things. Like, that's incredibly important to our business. On the media side, though, it's also, Vegas is a very interesting business case over its entire history because we're still maturing. We started as 100% gaming focused, and everything you see around you was an amenity to our gamblers. And now less than 20% of the consumers that come to Vegas note gambling as their major reason for coming. But that means we have very bifurcated systems on the back end because it wasn't built as one whole. So for us, it's how do we bring all of that data together to be able to talk to not just to our highest end gamblers and what they enjoy, but as an example, we just launched an offshoot of our loyalty program that is focused exclusively on high end non-gamers. And they have a host, just like a casino guest would. So trying to do more and more to make sure that Vegas is inclusive for everyone, since what it's known for is not the only reason to come. There's literally something for everybody here, which is quite the evolution and a fun challenge as a marketer for sure.
Yeah, I remember when you were building up some of your sports business here in Vegas, and that's really been, a passion point I think you guys have leaned into, much like the Marriott team as well. So that's really interesting. So you guys launched Riott Media last year, and obviously it's been off to the races ever since, and you've had a lot of success. Congratulations. Tell us a little bit about, why did you launch Riott Media? How can people activate with you? How can they, work with your fabulous data across platforms like the Trade Desk? And what's kind of the story behind the launch?
I'll start. Yeah, sure. I think it was one of these realizations that we've had this long history of partnering with lots of different brands, and clearly when you're at a physical location, you're there to do. And there's the concierge desk. There's ways we try to connect people to local experiences, and we really thought we could extend that into travel adjacent categories and things that would resonate with customers. From inspiration when they're thinking about travel to what we do, offsite through our partnership with the Trade Desk, to our own digital channels when you're in active planning, to when you're actually in the property. And we are not a retailer. We're in the commerce media space, and we still put the customer experience number one. So we're highly curated and selective in who we work with, and we really try to tailor messages to tap into that psychology of the traveler that's very unique. And if you stop by our Riott Media booth, there's actually a piece of research that we've done with United Airlines that we're showing a preview of that talks about travel and how people are very open to new things, new experiences, to brand messaging. And that's a very unique aspect of travel, and what we think is the sort of gold standard of what we're tapping into. And it just made natural sense and extension when we became very concentrated on understanding our customers for the true reasons they travel, what they care about, what their passions are. That's the same source that we can then use to extend that into bringing other brands into our ecosystem. So it just made a lot of sense, but we're being very, very purposeful about the partners that we select, the collaborators that we bring, and how we bring it to life. And we're also very conscious about the different aspects of each element of the travel cycle, from inspiration to planning to staying, and really trying to work with brands to tailor that. And I think that's a unique approach to many other media networks, and one that's proving to have a very outsized impact and performance. Monique just mentioned a couple quick stats, but we're seeing that repeatedly. And really that in-room experience is sort of the crown jewel that breaks through a lot of the noise. And we're seeing just very dramatic upper funnel measurements of people with the brands we're bringing to life. I don't know if you want to add to that.
I think it's interesting because there's this whole travel funnel, if you will. We talk about like the retail purchase funnel, but there's a travel funnel where you go from discovery to booking your trip, to planning your trip, then really planning for your trip like the days before. And then you're on the trip and then you come back. And there's different emotions in each of those and different moments that make sense for different brands to connect. So as Chris mentioned, we're taking a really prescriptive approach in how we connect the right brand partners with the right moments.
Thank you. It's been a joy to watch you guys build this, and I know 26 is going to be even better. So, with that in mind, seeing your friends over here at Marriott have some success with Riott Media, and obviously commerce networks are been on the rise pretty substantially over the last 12 to 24 months. What's the plan for MGM, and are you starting to think about this for your own business?
I mean, between the data that we have through the customers, through, again, everybody that comes through Vegas, our regional properties, plus the footprint that we have physically with the screens, it's hard not for us to think about that and consider it and seeing what other travel brands are doing. So we're definitely evaluating kind of what we can and should do, what's the right consumer experience, and what's our business priorities on those sides. But it's safe to say that it's definitely on our radar. And at the same time, taking inspiration from what Riott is doing. I mean, great example, we partnered together. If you walk out and walk past the restaurant right here on the corner of the Convention Center, Salt and Ivy, that's a partnership with Riott Media and MGM of the takeover there too. So nothing to formally announce by any means, but definitely an area that has piqued our interest, to say the least.
Going to be fun to watch you guys in 26 as well. So I'm going to shift gears just a little bit and talk about data. I know, Chris, you talked about this at the top, but data really is the bedrock of both, I would say, the travel business from a media perspective and getting heads in beds, and also monetizing your data. But I think data is becoming harder and harder to kind of house everything in the right place and think about things like clean rooms and what technology partners you're going to work with, and ensuring that you're really, putting the customer at the core of that, and watching where they interact with you along the way. And I know you've been on quite an evolution at Marriott on this kind of data journey. Walk us through a little bit of that evolution, and I know, Derek, you can add to this on your side too.
Well, it's interesting because, being a very data-rich company, we also, I think, we're a very data-dirty company. I don't mean compliance or privacy perspective, but just a mess, right? And so going back 5-6 years, the first step was really a heavy investment in getting our data house in order. And I'm sure that's not news to anybody, but it's often a step that's shorted or skipped by many people, and you hack together yet another data solution somehow to bring data together and connect everything you can know about your customers. We put a lot of effort and time in doing that, and it was a bit of a painful exercise because it's also difficult to keep your CEO investing in platforms that aren't yet producing value, but it was a required step. And as we really started to see the benefits of understanding our customers better, we not only wanted to be able to leverage the data that we observe about our customers, but we wanted them to tell us more about what they care about and trust us with what we may observe or ask, that we're going to use it in relevant ways. So, really thinking about the operational aspect of connecting people so they see that what they're sharing with us and entrusting in us, we're using to help them connect to the right locations to book, to do the right activities, to experience the things they care about. So that was really the beginning of this journey. And now with Riott Media, we already said that, this is the bedrock, as you say, of that business. But one of the things that I was really intent on going to market with this business, we are the first media network in the hotel industry, and it's not proven yet, right? It's proving itself over the last 8 months, but we really needed to use measurement as almost a sales tactic, saying we needed the best measurement, closed loop attribution, the use of clean rooms for targeting, for measurement, and incrementality of performance to prove to people that this was a place that they should move dollars that they're expending everywhere. There's a stat I think I read in eMarketer recently that we're up to about 20% of all U.S. and Canada media dollars are being spent on the 250 plus media networks out there, retail and commerce combined. And it's a lot of noise, and it's a lot of fragmentation that's hard for marketers to sort of manage budgets to. So if we can make that seamless with showing how it performs, with that advanced measurement, and that then really gets at our ability to target, to utilize, audiences and all the different channels that we operate, including external offsite channels. So this is where, a heavy investment in clean room was required. a heavy, heavy investment in identity. And as a global company, one of the biggest challenges is tackling identity globally, right? So this is where key partners like the Trade Desk and others are key in allowing us to be able to bring privacy compliant identity tracking and targeting to all parts of the globe, which is definitely what we're building for right now.
I think, Derek, that's a journey that we've been on with you guys, and we're excited about it. I think, Derek, on your side, you've had some similar things occur at MGM, and we're all living in a world where what's the flavor today?
That's right.
Is it cookies? Is it not cookies? Is it MTA? Is it MMM? Is it incrementality? I know at the Trade Desk, we believe wholeheartedly in really aligning to business metrics and ensuring that we are operating against things like room nights or the success of our Riott clients collectively. So how are you thinking about both data and measurement, and what's the journey been like for you?
Yeah, I think my favorite part of every year is when we get to next year planning and somebody in the C-suite inevitably goes, well, we're done with our data journey, right? We've been doing it 3 years. A journey implies an end. And we're like, that's funny. No, the journey never ends. When it comes to measurement, we've had an interesting path. I think, again, knowing we were a heavily casino-focused company for a very long time, a lot of our measurement was around last touch until about 2 years ago, which was just horrific. It was the worst thing because it just doesn't take into account the entirety of a consumer journey, which is terrible. We've done a lot to really kind of build that out into a triangle of, yes, modeled last touch because we see cookie deprecation and we're only getting part of our traffic. We've brought in an MMM partner to better understand the full funnel and the impact of the separate channels on the funnel. And then we also take into account really the partner, whether it's internal or external partner lift studies to understand what's really driving like legit incrementality for our business. Because the thing about Vegas is our rooms are typically going to be about 93% occupied across the entirety of the year. So for us, it's all around incrementality, driving a higher quality net new customer. So we really need to bring that piece of it in there. And it's also just been a lot of internal education to say there's no one number to measure all of this. It has to be a blend of all of these things to make the best business decisions overall. It's taken a lot of education. We're still halfway through our MMM journey and getting it just right because there's so many factors. But it's allowed us to make, we believe, a lot smarter decisions within our media, within our marketing overall, and start to shift some of those strategies in a meaningful way.
How on the Riott side are clients responding to your, deep analysis around KPIs and measurement and making sure that, you're signing up for what they care about? I would assume it's gone well and it's been a key part of the journey, but have you kind of been on a journey alongside your clients in education there too?
I mean, I think a lot of what Derek said, it's not a simple metric. It's a whole suite. And I think in my book, incrementality is table stakes. It might not always be incremental sales, but incremental purchase intent, incremental room bookings, incremental purchases at a shop that are outside of the CPG. And so I think it's how are we measuring all of that and what is the holistic measurement suite that we're providing? So that's what we've built for this year, and we're continuing to expand next year as we work with more verticals. What are the metrics that help tell the whole story from beginning to end of that travel funnel?
Okay, we're going to close it out. It's a new year. It's 2026, which I can't believe. We're in beautiful Vegas. Thanks again for having us. But I know it's going to be a year of shifts too. So how are you getting ready and getting prepared for the shifts that you believe are to come for this year? And perhaps you can relate it back to some of the conversation we've had around loyalty and data and how you're readying your teams and your organizations to take this year on with success.
Yeah, I can take that one first. So what I'd say is, is anybody going to groan if I say that AI is impacting everything we do? Because it is. And what we're really trying to figure out is how much of what we're doing builds the base for us to not only continue down the path of measurement and data and doing much more micro-segmentation amongst our audiences, but also embrace the path of what AI can unlock for us. You talk to any of our platform partners and they're telling us, just throw the creative in there and we're going to let AI determine the targeting based on who interacts with it. Well, that assumes that I know that my creative is perfectly aligned with my target audience, which is not always the case. And especially for somebody going after a quality rather than a quantity, measurement within our media, that's really difficult. So some of the things that we're doing, we've really invested heavily in working with creative analytics and understanding what works and against what customer bases. We've also started looking at generative AI on the creative side so that we can quickly iterate and understand performance there and start to truly target micro segments with creative. That's just so hard with a standard production schedule. And then to really make sure that we're embracing the entirety of our business. You know, we have guests that come in as casino customers through OTAs, convention, as you all are here, and then our leisure segments that come as free independent travelers. We have to do the best we can to optimize each of those mixes as consumer shifts happen across even like the macroeconomic pieces as well too. So lots to take into account, but creative, understanding the data and where we think that AI is going to influence the travel consumer journey is incredibly important for us.
Yeah, I think, one of the big pivots that we're looking at this year, I think, is not thinking purely as data as a targeting asset, but as an experience engine. And for us, again, our industries are blessed with being able to understand a lot of intent signals, and our ability to capture those not only for our own purposes in a real-time basis, but being able to extend that into the ad space and Riott Media, I think, is something we're very passionate about pursuing, and really seeing that as a shift and both the AI and the technical landscape with a lot of the ad tech is going to enable us to do that, I think, in far easier ways than historically we've thought about. And it all comes down again to relevancy to the customer and respecting that relationship. And that is the North Star that informs so much of what we'll build in 2026.
And on the Riott side, also, I think even more tactically taking what Chris has said, I think it's I'm excited to see how we take that personalization combined with creativity and bringing it to life for our partners, not just in the digital space, but as we bring more experiential opportunities, activations on property, in the room, et cetera. So I'm excited to see kind of how all the data and the creativity come together to help us create these personalized experiences.
Thank you guys so much. We're grateful for the partnership and we're excited for a fruitful 26. So thanks again. Have a great CES.
Thanks all.
Thanks all.